ashver.com.
Hello and welcome to ashver.com. You are watching an interesting video on what every step mom wished her husband knew: another chance at love.
Please read the disclaimer carefully.
You're a man with a failed marriage under your belt. Unless you're the independent playboy type, the average Joe hopes to find happily ever after with someone new. You don't want to be alone. You want someone to recreate with, someone who shares your interests. You want someone who is independent and emotionally mature, not insecure and needy. You want someone you are attracted to and with whom you feel intense chemistry. You'd like to be someone's hero. You want a woman who will boost your confidence and not tear you down with her belittling. You want to be respected. There's only one potential problem: you have children and are a package. For some women, a man with children from a previous marriage is a deal breaker. The rest of the female population naively thinks their love for their men can conquer any mountain. Women are hotwired to be nurturers. When you win her heart, she's confident she can be the glue that holds your ready-made family together. You quell her anxiety with reassurance and devotion. She can't imagine life without you, so she decides to woman up, treat your children like her own, and set about making your home your. From a biblical standpoint, the family hierarchy follows this order: God, spouse, children, parents, extended family, brothers and sisters in Christ, and then the rest of the world. Does this mean your children are less important than a new spouse? Certainly not. Each role is equally important, and no member is loved any less or any more than another, though the love you have for each person is different. However, to maintain the proper balance in one's home, the pecking order needs to be in place. Let's assume you love your job and enjoy all the people you interact with on a daily basis. You might like your boss as much as your coworker, and you have a great time jesting with the custodian. Job titles keep everyone functioning in their respective positions to ensure smooth operations in the workplace. Each position is critical to the overall well-being of the business, but no person is more or less important than. You enter your second marriage with high hopes only to find the fabric of your newfound love quickly unraveling. What happened? Where did things go wrong? Why has your new wife suddenly turned on your children and started spewing venom? Chances are, it wasn't a sudden change. Men are direct. Men call a spade and assume a woman does too. They aren't in tune with the plethora of nonverbal cues a woman emits, like subliminal messages to let you know things aren't copacetic. She's been hoping you'd pick up on the series of clues she's been leaving and tackle the escalating problems, but you haven't. Once you discover where things started to break down, you have the power to make positive changes that will strengthen your. The number one complaint of stepmoms is their husband's passivity and subsequent lazy parenting. When conflict arises with your kids, don't stick your head in the sand. Ignoring problems won't make them disappear. If you pretend you don't have cancer and do nothing about it, it will kill you. Similarly, turning a blind eye to misbehavior encourages it to continue. For example, if your kids refuse to eat the food your new wife cooks, don't order carry-out for them or substitute junk food for a nutritious meal. Firmly explain they will either eat the food placed before them or go hungry. The end. If your children are turning your home into a pigsty, establish chore lists for them and insist each do his part to keep the house tidy. Your new wife isn't their personal maid. Don't let your sons play violent video games and watch TV for hours on end because it keeps them out of your hair. Take an interest in how they spend their time and make sure they are engaged in activities that are good for them. When discipline needs doled out, remember confronting and dealing with conflict will earn the respect of your wife and children. Yes, it takes energy and determination, but you're the parent, so do your job and parent. The wages of passive. Some husbands enter a second marriage with the notion the new wife will simply fill the shoes of the first wife when it comes to parenting. Such husbands view the second wife as a substitute mother. As such, he will continue to go to work and then come home to recreate while wife number 2 gets his children up in the morning, fixes their breakfast, sees they are properly attired, packs their lunches, shuttles them to school, picks them up, helps with homework, oversees their chores, meets at discipline, runs their errands, gets them showered, and tucks them in. If your second wife enjoys doing these things, all well and good. However, do not force her to be a second mother and be happy she's simply a positive adult role model. Your children have a mother and a father, and they might not want another parent any more than your wife wants the job. You're their father. When they are with you, your children don't have to like your new wife, though you're ahead of the game if they do, but you need to insist they show her respect. You might not like your boss, but if you don't show him respect, you'll likely be fired. Sometimes, we have to demonstrate respect for someone's position, regardless of our personal feelings. Your wife is on equal footing with you in managing your household. Your children need to feel a united front from the two of you, or they may set out to divide and conquer. When you are not present, your children need to know you expect them to obey your wife, and if they don't, there will be consequences. Keep in mind your ex might be relentless in her quest to poison the children against your new spouse, and out of loyalty to her, your kids might create an insurrection. Nip disrespect every time it rears its ugly head. If you don't, your kids will feel licensed to rebel and be insolent, which will cause her to resent them in their presence. Surprisingly, many men allow ex-wives to exert power over them long after the divorce is final. Pull the plug. You two live separate lives now, and her control needs to stop. Don't let her rule your new roost like she ruled the old one. The divorce decree unlocked your prison door. You're no longer her captive, so act free. Recognize that many of her threats are empty. I'll move away so you'll never see the kids again, or I'll take you to court for more money if you don't pay for this. She'll pull out all the punches to elicit fear, but it's all a ploy to emotionally manipulate you into doing what she wants. Call her bluff. She can't afford to keep hauling you back to court, despite her threats to the contrary. Statistics show the typical woman experiences a 73% drop in her standard of living after divorce, and 40% of households headed by women live in poverty. When she asks you to hook up her computer, fix her furnace, or do some other household chore you used to do, tell her to find another handyman. She'll attempt to guilt you into doing things that are no longer your responsibility by making you feel the children will suffer if you don't step up the plate. When you find another love interest, your ex might even make a play to get you back. She doesn't really want you, but she doesn't want someone else to have you either. Don't fall for her coy tricks. If she alludes to the two of you reconciling, when you know it's out of the question, pointedly squelch the idea. If she playfully starts emailing or texting you, don't respond or tell her not to contact you if it isn't about the kids. From the beginning of time, women have known how to exploit a man's ego. Don't fall for it. The attention might seem flattering, especially if you have two women vying for your attention, but recognize it for the scheme it is to sabotage your new relationship. Limit how much contact you have with your ex, and encourage your extended family to do the same. While your parents and sister might have bonded with your ex, they need to also maintain a comfortable distance. It's okay for them to like her, but out of respect for your new wife and their loyalty to you, they need to at least partially disengage from her and move on too. Cordial is good, chummy is bad, at least much of the time. One counselor recommended method of limiting contact with a toxic ex is to completely cease verbal contact, when possible. Send a spiral notebook between houses, and let your communication be in writing in a travel log. Knowing the information contained in the log can be used against her in court, it encourages a more positive exchange for addressing issues pertaining to your children. If something arises that requires more immediate attention, an email or text is often sufficient. Ex-wives can cause extreme stress for you and your new wife. Well-adjusted and mature ex-wives keep their contact with former spouses amicable, short and sweet, and don't interfere with your new life, as they don't want you interfering with theirs. In many cases, however, the vitriol injected into your life by the bitter variety creates a ripple effect. Not only your new wife resent her perpetual meddling, she will project her growing animosity onto your kids because without them, the ex would have no foothold in your lives. It's not fair, but it happens. Limiting contact with your ex and not permitting her to dominate your life and control how your household is run is paramount for the success of your marriage. She might have one set of rules for the kids at her house, and she is free to parent how she sees fit during her parenting time. However, at your house, kids follow your rules. The ex has no say under your roof. Ex-wives have a difficult time adjusting to this eye-opening fact. When she agreed to divorce, she sacrificed having control of her children when they aren't with her. When it's your parenting time, assuming you aren't an abusive or neglectful parent, her dictates and mandates are not. Another common pitfall fathers face is guilt from creating a broken home for their children, even if the failed marriage wasn't their fault. To assuage guilt, fathers feel compelled to overindulge their children with gifts, special trips, and other luxuries they can't really afford. If the ex is berating you to the children, you might feel compelled to win them over, but the end result is they won't think any more of you. You could spend your last dime on them, and you won't have earned 1 ounce more of their love or respect. People can't be bought. Love should be given freely from the heart, and all good relationships are built on trust, love, and respect. If you notice your ex taking the kids on fun trips and buying them everything they ask for, it might even be harder for you to resist doing the same. If you're like most fathers, you're already paying an inordinate amount of child support, so you're more than amply providing for your kids already, even if they don't realize it's your dime mom is blowing. When your new wife watches money flying out the window, hand over fist, above and beyond your child support obligation, another seed of resentment grows. When she witnesses you falling prey to emotional manipulation, she knows the result will be bratty, entitled kids she will have to cope with under her roof. What can you do to build your relationship with your children and please your new wife at the same time? It's easy, parent your kids. Listen to them, look them in the eye when they are talking, ask them questions about their lives, don't request any intel on their mother, discipline them when they need it, attend their school functions, encourage good character, spend one-on-one time with each of them, be a role model, and prove to them you are someone they can trust. Teach them to be responsible, to work hard, and to appreciate the value of a dollar. We live in a society that teaches people to be victimized by circumstances instead of learning to victoriously overcome adversity. When a person chooses to be a victim instead of a victor, they feel entitled to compensation. They believe someone owes them for what they've suffered. Empower your children for independence rather than enabling them to. We teach people how they can treat us. The success of your new marriage hinges on your ability to be stalwart in setting and enforcing boundaries. Where do you draw the lines? We already addressed setting boundaries with the ex. Boundaries also need established with your family. Many in-laws are guilty of making insensitive comments to your new wife, especially if they had a good rapport with your ex. Maybe your family will embrace your new wife because they are aware of how poorly you were treated before and are happy you are now being loved and appreciated. If that's not the case and your family is taking cheap shots at your new wife, you need to put them in their places and let them know you won't tolerate this. If your family fawns all over your first set of children but treats the kids you've had with your new wife like second-class citizens, this also. No one needs boundaries more than your children. You can't force them to like your new wife, but you can see to it they demonstrate the common courtesy and respect to any human being. Empathize with them, but don't let them succumb to a victim mentality. Victims make excuses for wrong behavior. Your children are Your children are loyal to their mother and they may feel insecure about your new relationship. They may be wondering where they fit in this new family dynamic and questioning your love. They are concerned how all the changes will affect them. Who will take care of them? Will they have any money now? Will they have to deal with step-siblings or half-siblings? They may be jealous of or even hostile to your wife. One stepmom shared how her antagonistic stepkids hid trash in her car trunk, which she was unaware of until it became a stench. What did the father do? Nothing. When you let your children cross boundaries, behavior escalates. Boundaries also need set when it involves discipline. When your kids break house rules, consequences should be clear, and it's imperative you follow through. There might be whining, sulking, screaming, or other angry outbursts, but good dads parent even when it's hard. If your children act like they hate being at your house and would rather be with their moms, don't let it hurt you. It's a manipulative trick to get their way. Instead, say, "I'm sorry you feel that way. I love you and enjoy having you here, but I'm not going to force you to stay if you don't want to. We have rules here, and when you're under my roof, we expect them to be followed." Enforcing boundaries with your children actually lets them know how much you do love them. Deep down, they know you care enough not to let them act in ways that will hurt them in the long run. Don't fall for their attempts. Technology creates the need for even more boundaries when it comes to your kids. Do not allow your children to FaceTime their mother. This is a violation of your privacy, and it will raise your new wife's shackles quicker than anything. Your home is your safety zone where you should find the most peace. To allow your kids to expose you and your wife to your ex in this fashion is highly disrespectful and unacceptable. If your kids are old enough for a Facebook account, access to this may also need limited. Many stepmoms have found their stepchildren posting cruel and hurtful comments on Facebook while in their homes. Excessive time texting and emailing mom to report every move your family makes creates a reality show that will do nothing but cause stress and tension in your home. Some ex-wives and children will do anything to sabotage your relationship. Your new wife is aware of this, and when you protect her from this byproduct of your divorce, you will continue to be her hero. If you have responsible kids who use technology and social media in a respectful manner and for an acceptable duration, that's one thing. However, if you find your kids are abusing these communication mediums, create a boundary. Cell phones and all technology get dropped off to you at the door upon arrival and are returned to them as Boundary setting is a topic that should arise in discussion between you and your new love before you get married. When you're crazy in love, it's hard to imagine life could ever be anything less than perfect. However, it's unfair to lull her into a false sense of security and then throw her in the lion's den after carrying her across the threshold. Sit down with your soon-to-be wife and brainstorm possible complications that could arise and how you both can address them together. Be a team. Devise a game plan, and stick to it. As life progresses, your game plan may need revisited and revised, but stay on the same page as your wife and be diligent about enforcing boundaries. Your second marriage has a much better survival rate when you are working with your wife and not against. One thing needs to be clear: your new wife entered the picture after the dysfunction following your divorce was already in progress. Strangely, she somehow becomes the scapegoat for everything negative that follows. She rushes to your aid and helps you battle your Attila the Hun ex, unless you're fortunate enough to have a mature and decent one. She tries to help you rein in your kids who have been too empowered from lack of boundaries and discipline and are succumbing to the parental alienation attempts of their mother, and she tries to establish a happy home for the two of you in hopes of growing your family. She has noble intentions and your best interests at heart, yet she feels dropped into a fictional daytime drama. What advice is she given? You knew he had kids when you married him. Did you know you had kids when you married her? It doesn't matter why you divorced in the first place. What matters is this: you and your ex-wife decided to call it quits. You agreed to it despite the potential damaging impact it would have on your kids. Stepmoms are often accused of being selfish, but think outside of the proverbial box. Who is the selfish one here? Could you be a little selfish? After all, you wanted to move on and find happiness for yourself again, right? Could your ex be a tad selfish too? She knew a broken home would cause instability and stress in her kids' lives, but she wanted to move on without you too. Yet, the stepmom is always labeled the selfish one. What did she do? She loved you regardless of your past, despite how it would affect her future. She tried to be kind to your children, only be attacked by your ex at every opportunity and undermined by your kids. She made a stab at bringing order to the chaos in your home, yet the turmoil your past created is never pinned on her. No matter where the finger is pointed, you can still make positive changes to strengthen your relationship with her and keep your Men tend to focus on the main points, the crux of matters, and they turn a deaf ear to the emotional rantings of unhappy stepmoms. If it seems like your new wife is perpetually raving about the latest irksome thing your kids have done, nitpicking even, know you missed the earlier warning signs of dissatisfaction, which has now pushed her to this point. In the beginning, she tried to bring issues to your attention so you could deal with them before they snowballed. Women have an innate sense about things and can sooner recognize when a situation is going to go from bad to worse. She delicately alerted you that the bridge was out ahead, but when you didn't change direction, her alarmed pleas grew louder and more intense. Picture the robot from Lost in Space flailing his arms while shouting, "Warning! Warning!" Try to put yourself in her shoes and imagine how you deal with what she's facing. Above all, listen to her when she communicates she's struggling and then do something. No child is perfect, and when yours are causing a problem, address it. Otherwise, your wife's math switch isn't going to be pushed on occasion, it's going to get stuck in the on position. She will grow to despise your kids, and your relationship. In 80% of divorce cases, the court awards custody to the mother. Studies have shown that particularly young children shouldn't be separated from their mothers, assuming she's not a drug addict or mentally ill. More recent research indicates shared parenting isn't working, and in some countries, it's falling by the wayside, since it's causing more harm than good. Findings show quality time with a non-custodial parent, typically the father, trumps quantity time. In fact, it appears the parenting that occurs during a father's scheduled visitation is often passed off to the stepmoms. Think about it. Yes, you want time with your kids, but have you ever considered how difficult it is for them to transition from one home to the next? Young kids usually want mommy at night or when they are sick. Kids often have one set of rules and values to adhere to at mom's house, and then flip-flop to dad's house where rules and values might not be the same. Did you ever ask your kids if they want to have overnight visitation with you? Especially if you have remarried, do your kids feel as comfortable staying for an extended period where the woman of the house is not their mom? They may act out from frustration, not realizing daytime visitation would be an acceptable arrangement. Think of your new wife. How does she feel about having your kids overnight? Is it stressful for her to deal with another woman's children for an extended period and make room for them when you're already cramped for space? Multitudes of stepmoms express this mindset. I hide in my room while the stepkids are here. I spend 3 days recovering from their visit, and then I start crying 3 days before they are due again for their next. While no one would suggest you be an absent father, why not create a visitation schedule that is more suited for your family? Don't be selfish here. What is the best arrangement for everyone? Ask your kids. Ask your wife. Ask your ex-wife, unless she's a nut job. Maybe your children would be happy to spend quality time with you every other Saturday and Wednesday without being forced into an overnight stay. It certainly would lend more stability to their lives. Home would be a stationary place for them, and they wouldn't feel like a visitor traveling between two destinations all the time. Your new wife would be ecstatic to have overnight stays next. Perhaps she would even extend more grace and hospitality to your kids with renewed vigor, knowing it would only be for the day. If your ex-wife is the controlling type, she'd be thrilled to keep your kids firmly under her thumb. However, if your ex looks forward to her kidless weekends so she can party and yuck it up, she lives a distance away, or the court has already awarded you full custody, then a visitation change may be off. Now, don't get your gander up. No one's suggesting you abandon your kids, only that you examine your unique situation and design a visitation schedule that is the most satisfying and supportive to all parties. Don't put yourself on a guilt trip and let condemnation thump you over the head. Quality trumps quantity. Make your visits count. Not by playing Santa Claus or permitting your kids to create bedlam, but by truly parenting your kids when you have them. If you are on wife number 2, or 3, or heck, even 4, and you see things veering off course again, think about the common denominator. It's you. Kids from a previous marriage have the potential to create a huge strain on your relationship. Don't force another stepmom to go rogue. Learn from the mistakes of others. Glean wisdom from your own mistakes. Parent your kids, command their basic respect, maintain your boundaries, stop enabling the ex, show your wife compassion, tailor visitation to everyone's best interests, and keep your head out of the sand of passivity. It's a lot to juggle, but it's what heroes with happy endings.
Thank you for watching this interesting and informative video. This channel offers motivational, inspirational, valuable and informative videos to soothe, cleanse and inspire your health, mind, body and spirit. You can find a lot of interesting videos on wide range of topics here. Stay tuned and keep watching.